Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. Sorry about that ding. That's my messenger if you're just wondering. So basically, I'm returning to you, and sorry, that's my sister's cat too. It's right here that I'm petting. I'm returning to you for a Beyonce Act 2 Cowboy Carter album review. And we're going to get into what I listened to for all 27 tracks. So this may be a lengthy review, just so you're aware. But try to break it down, see what I think of each song, and I'll let you know my thoughts on this record overall. So let's dive into this album review. Now, basically, American Requiem is a almost 5.5 minute song. Sorry, I burped for a second. Eating some food too, just digesting it. McDonald's mostly. So, American Requiem from Beyonce. I wouldn't say this is one of my favorite songs. It's okay. It's a tolerable track for majority of it, but there's some look at there things with the looka with how she was singing it. It just sounded cringy in a way, and not in a slight poorly executed way. But the rest of the song played out sort of safe in its own way. But I think this is going to get a 3.5 out of 5. I don't hate this track. I think it's average. Could have been better, but it's the opening track, so yeah, it's a okay start. Blackbird is okay too. I'd give this a lower rating of a 3.25 out of 5. It's fine for what it is, but not one of my favorites, so it's fine. 16 Carriages. I think some of the track is okay. I wouldn't say it's one of my personal favorites. I've listened to it a few times. I know this is not one of Beyonce's strongest tracks. It's really not. But lately, her music's become very hit or miss as of now. So, this is a 3.25 out of 5. I don't hate this song, I just don't love it too much. I think it's okay for what it is, but could be better executed. If there wasn't any mumble rapping in it and there was regular singing, it would have been a little alright. But the tone of the track just had its hit or miss moments. She's blending country twang music with like country rap, country R&B, country rap, all that stuff, and mixing it with like all that stuff. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So now to move on, we got Protector. This one's okay. It's kind of meh. It plays it safe. It's just in the middle with me, so I'd give it a 3 out of 5. My Rose is a above average track. I don't hate this track for what it goes for, but there are some hit or miss moments through the track for only 53 seconds, but it's fine. 3.75 out of 5. Smoke Hour, Willie Nelson is actually pretty strong for a 49-second track. It's an interlude to the next track, Texas Hold'em, which I think is one of the strongest tracks for the record. So 4.75 out of 5 for the interlude track, Smoke Hour, 1, Willie Nelson. So Texas Hold'em. I wasn't sure if I was going to feel for this at first, but it grew on me after many listens. Listened to it like 3 or 4 times, but I don't hate it necessarily. So I'd give it a 4.75 out of 5. I think this is one of Beyonce's strongest tracks from this record. Bodyguard is a 3.75 out of 5. I think it has something going for it with the melody tune at the intro of the song, the woo 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 thing. It sounds pretty good for what it is, but there are some critiques I have with this track, with some of the ways Beyonce is singing it, and just the certain things she sings, and how she's uh, making the song's demeanor sound hit or miss. So, 3.75 out of 5. Dolly P, also known as Dolly Parton. Pretty good interlude track for only 21 seconds, so I'd give it a 4.75 out of 5. Jolene is actually a solid track. It repeats itself and gets a little repetitive in some areas of the song, but I think it's fine for what it is, so 4.5 out of 5. Daughter is actually a solid track too, so I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5 for this one. Beyonce's vocals do hit a range in a good way. I like her R&B stuff where she's really trying to make the songs execute. Even if it's country R&B stuff, it is at its best in the first 11 songs, being sort of okay mixed or pretty strong tracks. It depends on how the songs execute, but the first half is tolerable. Then we get into Spaghetti. What the fuck is this song? Like another church girl crap from the Act 1 Renaissance. And sorry about the dog barking. It's my sister's dog. So basically, Spaghetti did not do so well. It's poorly mixed, and Beyonce's rapping, mumble rapping is crap. I don't like it. It makes me shake my head like, okay, the first half of the song is bad. And I just had a side eye, like, this is not good. Just like this song is terrible. But the second half tried to prove itself by playing it a little safe, so I'd give it a 1.5 out of 5. Not as bad as I think it is, because the second half tries to make it entertaining, but the first half is an awful mess. So I'm not really a fan of this track. 1.5 out of 5. Alligator Tears is above decent. It's going to get a 4.25 out of 5. I don't necessarily hate this track, but I think it could be better performed. The execution could have been a little better with how the song's playing out. I don't know, it just had its hit and miss moments. It's not one of my favorite songs. Smoke Hour 2 is a 4.5 out of 5. It's another interlude track. That sounds alright for what it is, so yeah, 4.5 out of 5. Just for Fun did have some nice vocals, and I think this is a solid track that's proven worthy of a strong track for the record. So, 4.5 out of 5. Two Most Wanted, featuring Miley Cyrus, was solid. Not one of my personal favorites, but it is a strong track for what it is. It just could be a little better executed in its own way with how they're singing it, I guess. There's some moments where it sounds good, moments where it's on the fence, but it's fine. Levi Jeans, or Levi's Jeans, featuring Post Malone, is decent. It's not one of my favorites, but it's a tolerable track for what it is. 4 out of 5. Flamenco, I think, is the 18th song on the record. And sorry about the background noise, my nephew's going to be throwing a fit. This is a 4.75 out of 5. I think it has some potential, this track, for only a minute and 39 seconds. It's not a long song, so you're not in for much of a track. So 4.75 out of 5. The Linda Martell Show is actually going to get a 4.5 out of 5. I think it's a solid track for an interlude going into the next song, Ya Ya. And yeah, 4.5 out of 5. Now to go to Ya Ya. This one is decent. I mean, it has potential. It's not one of the worst tracks for the record. But I will say it could have been a little better if there wasn't twerking lyrics or where she mentions twerking in the track. And I'm like, okay, this is a little tolerably executed in its own way. So, I guess good. So, this is a 4 out of 5. Decent track. I don't hate it necessarily. She tries with this track to mix it up, but the beat is pretty catchy. But it's the execution with some moments in the track that have its cringe moments from time to time. Oh Louisiana is an interlude track. I don't know what it is, but I just don't like it for the interlude track. It's just the vocals from whoever's singing it. I don't know if it's her daughter or if it's a auto-tuned or chipmunk voice or whatever the fuck it is. It doesn't sound good, in my opinion. And I'm not trying to be a douchebag. I'm just trying to say that I'm not liking it. For 50 something seconds, I'm not liking this song for an interlude. So 2.75 out of 5. It's sadly disappointing. Desert Eagle is a 4.5 out of 5. I think this one has potential. There's some hit or miss moments through this track with some of the way its mixing and production is from time to time is pretty strong, but does have its cringe moments with the overall vocals from Beyonce. 4.5 out of 5. River Dance is a 4 out of 5. I think it has potential, but it could be a lot better if it didn't squander in some areas with its execution, with the mixing and production. 4 out of 5. Two Hands to Heaven is actually above decent of a track. It's got potential, but it could have been a little better. So 4.25 out of 5 for this one. Tyrant is a decent song. There's some mumble rap moments through this track, and I'm sorry about the background noise. My sister's dog's barking, and pretty much, yeah, that's what's going on in the background. So basically, 4.25 out of 5 for Two Hands to Heaven. Tyrant, 4 out of 5 as well. Sweet Honey Buckin' is decent. I mean, the sweet and honey parts are pretty solid, but when Buckin' comes in, it kind of squanders, and not in a good way. It's hit or miss with the final act of the song. So 4 out of 5. And finally, the closing track, Amen. Pretty good track to end the record. So it started off bumpy and ended fine. But there are two songs that really ruin this record big time, to the point where I just don't really see myself coming back to this record too much. So 4.75 out of 5. All in all, in my opinion, I think Beyonce's record could have had potential. This had a lot more potential than Renaissance. It is gonna get an increasing of a rating from the Renaissance record for Act 1, because that was a terrible ass album. Couldn't stand that record, in my opinion. And honestly, this record is disappointing, but it at least tried to mix things up and have some twang with the country style and some of the R&B and rap mixed with it. I mean, she kind of wanted to try something new, and I mean, she perfected it in its own way, but the problem with it is some of the way the song's executed. There's certain tracks that do it, certain tracks that are okay, tolerable, hit or miss, or very bad, disappointing. So it has its bumps and through the record, but it's hit or miss bumps. Like, there are some good moments through the record, and then some weak moments. But overall, I think I'm gonna have to unfortunately give it a 5 out of 10. It's one of my most disappointing records this year. It's not the worst record. That's gonna be the worst album of the year, but it will be on the worst albums of 2024, unfortunately. And I'm sorry to say this, but I think this is kind of her going through a country twang phase, in my opinion. I mean, with respect, I know she's from Texas, and that I'll give her credit for, because at least she perfected it in its own way, with most of the tracks sounding alright. But two of the songs still ruin the record to lower it to a 5 out of 10. And that's unfortunately what I had to give it. And I'm sorry to some of the Beyonce fans to disappoint you with this review. This is a no. It's like, okay, Beyonce, you're becoming a little, not a great artist anymore. Like, you have the potential to do some good vocals with your R&B voice, but you squander it with some of the songs you come up with and its executions. So, how they're performed and all that. So, basically, 5 out of 10 for Beyonce Act 2, Cowboy Carter. Thank you for watching this album review tonight.